Hi, this is PD at BurgZerg Arcade at BurgZergArcade.com, and this is tutorial 183. Now in our last tutorial we left off, we'd gone over the structure of how I was going to have my hair sorted in my resources, and I've gone ahead and finished that off. So here's my male hair. I've broken it up into materials, and I've got the normal hair one, which is diffuse. Later on I may want to add another one with specular or well, any other shader that I want to have on it besides, the default one. And then I've gone ahead and I actually haven't made my prefabs yet. I'll have to do that before we actually start instantiating them. That's something I actually forgot to do. Oh, nope, sorry, I did do my prefabs. That's right, here they are. And I've kept the meshes down here just so that they're together. But as you can see, I have gone ahead and made my prefabs. And of course, I also have the textures for the hair. And it's the exact same ones you've seen before. I haven't actually gone ahead and added any more yet. But I want to go ahead and actually start creating the script. So I'm just going to shrink this up a bit. And so far we've done a few different ways of making a GUI here. We started off, we had the gender changer way, and if we open up that script and we go over and take a look at it, it was pretty simple. It's a 3D object in game. It works much like our chest. We just set up a list of texture 2Ds for the symbols, and as we click on stuff it changes. And of course we have the highlight code for when they hover on and off. And the main thing is that we're actually sending a message to our player model customization script. And of course that means you have to have the on enable and on disable functions to deal with these messages. And it looks like we were using the on toggle gender changer, and pretty much everything was handled here for it. And then it goes ahead and instantiates the model for us. Another way we did it was the head changer, and we had that kind of broken up into two separate scripts. We have the one button here that we're going to be using to click on to change our head, and of course we also have the little buttons down here to change our skin color. And I've got my screen shrunk down a little bit here, so it's a little hard to click. And of course we can change the color of our skin. This time around I want to do something a little bit different. I'm going to try to include the hair color buttons and also a button to allow us to switch what hairstyle we have all in one. And I'm going to start off by doing this with the onGUI method. But I want to do it a little bit different than we have before, just so you can see different ways of doing things. So I'm just going to come in and create another script. It'll be a C# script. And I'm just going to call this one hair. And then I'll just double click that to open it up in MonoDevelop. And right away I'm just going to rename it to hair. And this is not going to inherit from MonoBehavior. So this actually doesn't get attached to anything, and we can probably get rid of these collections. I know, well, I'll just comment out the Unity engine for now. Actually, I do know I'm going to be using it, so I'll just leave it there. But we are not going to have a start and an update method. So we'll get rid of those. And I'm going to come into my player model customization. And if we have an onGUI method already, which we do not, so I'll just come down here and add one. Let's go ahead and set this up a little bit. We're going to need a constructor for it, so we're just going to say public hair. And this is where we'll set our default values for any variables that we want. But the method we want to display on screen, we can call this whatever we want. It's going to have to be public. It's not going to return anything. I'm going to call mine onGUI. And it is important to note that this is not a MonoBehavior, so this onGUI is not the same as a GUI that belongs to a MonoBehavior. This will not display on screen, so really we could call this anything. And just to show that, well, we can't call it GUI because that is one of the names in our project already. Let's just call it display. At the end I will be changing this to onGUI, but just for demonstration purposes, let's just call it display. I'm going to go into my player model mesh, and I'm going to want to display that out here. So I am going to need a reference, or at least a new instance of this class. And we can come up here and throw it in with our variables, but I'm just going to put it down here for now just to keep everything together while I'm working on it. And I don't see a need to expose it to any other script right now, so I'll make it private. It's going to be of type hair. And well, let's just call it hair lowercase. Well, it is private right now, so we'll just put an underscore. We'll just say that it's a new hair. And we'll just come down here and we'll call hair, underscore hair dot display. I'll just save that off. I'll come back in here, and now we can use any sort of built-in GUI stuff that Unity has in our little display method here. So let's just start off by displaying a box. So we'll just say GUI dot box, and of course it needs a new rec and a string at the end, which I'll just call hair. And we're going to need to position it, so I'll just quickly throw it in at 10, 10, 100 by 50. I'll just save this off, and we'll go back into Unity. And when I hit, well, we have some errors. And I forgot my return type here. All right, we'll try this again. We'll see if the hair goes away, or the error, and it did. So let's hit start and see what happens. We should get a little box over here. And there we go. So what's so great about doing it this way? It'll allow us to encapsulate everything that needs to be done with hair in one class, or basically in one script over here. And anytime we need to do something with hair, we can just load this one script up. The way we're currently doing it, let's go back and take a look. We have all these different elements working on different things, and let's say you have some sort of NPC in your game and you want to go up to this NPC, and maybe he allows you to customize your character even further. Maybe you got to get points to do it, or a quest, but for whatever reason this NPC allows you to change the way your character looks. The way we have it set up right now, it's kind of messy. Like, it works in this scene, but it's not something that we can take from scene to scene very easily. And by encapsulating everything in just one script by itself, it'll be a little bit easier to implement. And hopefully we'll see that over the next few videos where we start implementing this. Now, the way I want this set up is I want to have basically like a little box on the screen, and at the very top of the box I want the different color selections for your hair, and down below I want two buttons, basically, you know, like a forward button and a previous button. So let's go ahead and start making something like that right now. Now, as we've seen, we've called display over in our onGUI over here, and I am actually going to change it back now to onGUI, and I just like to call it the exact same method that I'm going to be calling it in this script over here. That's really the only reason why I'm calling it onGUI, so I know where to call it over here. Okay. And let's go ahead and start setting up, well, a group. And we can do that by doing onGUI begin group. And if we take a look, it takes a rect position. And I'll fill that in a minute. But after I'm done that, I'm also going to want to make a GUI.end group. And I'm actually just going to take this box, stick it in the middle. And like I said before, it takes a rect or a position. I'm actually just going to copy this. Well, let's actually go ahead and make a public one. So public rect, and I'll just call it position. This way here we can access it from outside of the script, so we can actually change where this is going to be displayed. And I'll come down to my constructor and set up where I want the position to be by default. And we'll just say new rect. And by default, I'm actually just going to put it here. There we go. I'll just put a little bit of spacing in there. And if we actually just ran this code the way it is right now, the box isn't going to quite be displayed right. If we go in and take a look, as soon as we get rid of the errors, and something with no arguments up, because I forgot to put in my position here. So that rec we just made up here, we'll just put in down here. And we'll start it back up after the errors have cleared. And we should, well, you can kind of see it. Let me go full screen, just so you can see it a bit better. As you can see, it, we got our rounded corner over here, but it's off a little bit over here, and it's off a little bit over there. So what I'm going to do is create some offsets. And this box is actually contained within this group. So anytime we want to move whatever's inside of this group around, we only have to adjust the position of where this group is, as opposed to moving each element by itself. And that's really the benefit of using the begin group, end group. It just it's a nice way to keep everything together that should be together. So this is going to be an int, and I'm just going to call it offset. And by default, I'm going to set it to 0. There we go. And I'm actually going to, we'll put the offset above that. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to say offset for the X position, and for the Y position, I'm going to want offset again. And then for the width, I'm actually going to take the position dot width, which will be this value right here. I'm going to minus the offset multiplied by 2, because this offset is going to be applied to both sides, so it's going to be on the left and the right side. Right now it's set to 0, so it really doesn't matter what the value is. But basically I want to get rid of all the magic numbers down here. And now for this, I'm going to want to take the position dot height, so which is the 50 up here, and basically do the exact same thing. Minus offset minus 2, multiplied by 2. There we go. Let me just take a quick look here. It looks like everything's okay. I'll save it off. No error, so we'll just start this back up. And as you can see, it's now displaying. Now the reason why I have the box here is just to show me how big this group of elements is going to be. The next thing I want to do is actually start putting in my little next and previous buttons. And the way I'm envisioning it is I'm going to have my buttons on the lower half, and there's just going to be one on the left that goes to the previous hairstyle. There'll be one on the right that goes to the next hairstyle. And at the top there'll be a series of little buttons that you can click to actually change the hair color. And let me just stop that. I want to go to turn off maximize. And actually we'll just start it back up. And you notice it's over here and you have your box. This will become a little more apparent later on when we have more things in our group. But if we wanted to say move this over to the other side, in our script over here we can actually adjust it as well, because it is public. But for now, let's just go in here and let's just move it here. Let's put it at 100 on the x-axis. So 10 was about here, 100's probably going to be about here. I will just start that up, and we notice that everything moves over. And right now everything is just, well, the box that's inside of it. But we'll set it back so that it's off to the side a bit. It's just a little easier to see from me over there. And we're coming up on 15 minutes, so I'm going to save this one off and we'll start up in the next one. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.